Hey everybody, thank you for watching Right Reason and joining us here one more time as we try to engage pop culture from a ethical perspective. This is episode number 3, right T? And Cynthia are my stalwart assistants on all this. I wish they could be in the show as well. Hopefully one day we can at least get one of them in here. The other one doesn't want to be in any sort of televised video. I mean, she loves video, she works in video, she hates video herself. But I'm in no luxury to hate video. Here I am on it myself as one of the most introverted people ever, trying to do the most extroverted thing ever. So here we go.
If a famous person came up to you and asked in an authoritative tone, "Do you know who I am?" what would you say back?
I've seen shows and like prank shows where people do that, where they try to pose as somebody else or have the aura, and then they really punk people by making them like, "Oh, I know who you are. I've seen your movie. I've heard your latest record." And the guy's like, "I'm just a TV producer making fun of you." So having seen those, I'd probably not want to be punked myself. So I'm a little bit more streetwise that way. So I'd assume I'd plead ignorance. I'd say, "I'm sorry, I don't know who you are," and I'll just be more confident in my intuition and not try to fit the social role of trying to say what people expect me to say, which is the usual foible for most people, including myself. That's a normal thing. This could be, I guess, a little segue into social pressure, right? That's a big. It's one of the biggest problems for people is society is like the biggest burden in their life. I think Jerry Seinfeld said this in a skit. He said, most people, for most people, the fear of death, no, public speaking is the number one fear for humanity, number one. And the second fear is death. He said, you know what that means is, at a funeral, you'd rather be in a casket than doing the eulogy. Because social failure is that scary for most people. And I try to push back against that, and I think it's a wise thing to not let something so irrelevant be so relevant when it shouldn't be.
Which is one movie that you would recommend everyone to see before they die?
That's a tough one. Even in this kind of era of a real lack of like incredible movies that like are not just interesting from like a storyline perspective, or from like a graphic effects perspective. That's many movies are like that. But movies that are like life changing, which like what we're trying to do, have an ethical perspective and have an insight into human nature, to the human condition, and can help you live better. That's pretty rare, and it's rarer today than it's ever been. But that being said, we have amazing movies that if you want to stick to like something contemporary, you would really do well watching a few times. I don't know, my mind wants to say Lord of the Rings is maybe it's easily for me the number one, even like in this question, right? Like that's where my mind goes as the first answer, because there's so much in it that fits the needs of trying to educate a person into how to live. But I hesitate a little bit about it because I've never seen, like, I've only seen men love it. Because it's kind of battly, it's kind of sword and shield and armies kind of movie. So I don't know that I have a great answer for women on that question. But if you're a dude, and it's never been more difficult to be a dude than in 2019, you should watch Lord of the Rings and be like one of those men.
Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite movies.
Okay. So I'm going to take back a lot of what I just said, because Cynthia, who shall never be on camera, has said beyond the camera that it's one of her favorite movies. And so just in my experience, it's not something most women that I've talked to love. My wife, despite being married to me, does not enjoy it. But I'm certainly going to make Sally watch it like 14,000 times. But that being said, because of what Cynthia said as her favorite movie, I might make my yet to be born daughter watch it as well. So the jury's still out on maybe it is for everybody after all.
Which is the best phone to buy these days?
I think there are a few priorities when you're getting a phone, and if you think about it, they're kind of like deeply rooted, right? One of them is obviously to make phone calls and like browse the web, but I think privacy is a major priority. That especially the more you think about it, the more you read about it, the more you reflect on, you know, the vulnerability that you have in the modern world. Having a phone that's like a Swiss cheese phone is kind of frustrating and anxiety producing. So for that reason, Android is not my favorite, because Android is Google and Google is the devil. So whereas you know, Apple, even though the iPhone is not open source, nevertheless, Apple's business model for the last 15 years, especially for the last like 7 to 5 years, has been very much based on privacy and making promises to you that are very strongly privacy oriented, that if they fail those, then they will be out of business, I think. So if you value privacy, as I think most people do more and more, iPhones are big. And also, because of the camera that's built, it's not a minor thing, especially with everyone taking selfies and you know, videos of themselves and all that. Like we just discovered, I mean, I for myself discovered, like an iPhone 7 and higher phone has like a $5,000 camera built in for free in there. So I don't want to be an Apple cheerleader, but I kind of am. I love Apple. It's not Steve Jobs' Apple, but it's Tim Cook's Apple. It's bronze or silver, but it's not, you know, rubbish. Whereas I think even the best of, and I know T has an Android, and I'm sorry, but it's just my honest opinion. Playing with Android, playing with Google is playing with fire. And I think of things in terms of like eras, and like, in my life, like 10-year terms minimum. Like I don't think of 2 months from now. I don't know what's going to happen in 2 months in my life, but I know what will happen in 15 years. Like I know what will happen tomorrow and what will happen in 15 years, and everything in the middle I don't really know. It's all kind of fuzzy. But so if you think about like life in 15-year terms and 30-year terms, then yeah, an iPhone is probably the best bet, even though it's expensive. But a refurb is a good idea, and an older model is just as good. You know, I'm waiting for a Unix-based phone to come out. And they've been promised by a few companies, and they're not out yet. But like that would be even better. That's an open source and privacy centric. But until we get that, I think the iPhone is the best bet for quality, privacy, speed. So we're actually, I use my phone a lot to like film and help us out with vlog production. So it's just a great all around. I'm gonna expect for Apple to send me a check. So hopefully this was valuable and conducive to some thinking. Let us know what you think, especially send us some questions. I'd love to engage with real people. On Quora, we don't really see a lot of the names, is that right? Like, I think I'd love to have real people, not necessarily your real name, that's cool, if you just want to give a username or whatever, but it would be great to have usernames and some real people to engage with, and like names to engage with, so I could address Bobby Pants 49, you know, that would be great. But let's connect, and I'd love to get more involved and do more of this. This is a wonderful opportunity to connect and engage. So thank you for watching.